Good morning, everyone. My name is Lori Lytle. I'll be hosting today's Thursday training. And first off, thank you for coming today. Today's type of training is different kinds of questions throughout EDGE. Today we're going to cover fees, contributions, also about posting a file to a presentation to Facebook, and those items. I also want to point out that we do have other types of trainings that I'll show you where you can sign up for. We do have an introduction to EDGE, so if you're brand new to EDGE, stay on this call. You'll hear different kinds of items that you can work with EDGE, posting to Facebook, working with fees. So stay on the call, but it's best if you're brand new to EDGE to go ahead and join our Friday call, which is an introduction. We also have MC 101 courses that have multiple types of topics. To get to those type of trainings, just to be able to show you, if you're in EDGE, click the help button. And that can take you to not only our video tutorials to answer any kind of EDGE questions, but we have our events calendar. And with the events calendar, it's right here in the middle top. I click on that and it will take you to all our different events for the month. So you can see all our different coaching calls. But what I wanted to point out are these three items at the bottom of this page. You're on the Thursday call. Congratulations, you're learning more options about EDGE. If you're that beginner, this is where you want to start. Go ahead and sign up for this class. It shows you the basics of EDGE and just gives you familiar of going through the screens and understanding the report. And then you have the Mortgage Coach University. We have two types, 101 and 102 courses. And if you want to see the content that's being covered, if you go to this page, you could see all the topics that we cover. So if you sign up for those, it's the first 3 weeks of each month, and there's different items here that you'll be able to learn about EDGE. So we have many trainings that you can advance your EDGE knowledge on. Just need to be able to sign up for those classes. So I wanted to point that out to you. So first, let's go ahead and launch a couple poll questions. So Marcy, let's go ahead and do so. So the first I want to know, this way it helps me format the way our call is going to go. How many of you have downloaded the Mortgage Coach app? This is both RateWatch as well as the Mortgage Coach app, which is a viewer for the EDGE reports. So if you could go ahead and respond to this poll, that would be great. We have 58%, and I'm happy to see the majority of the people have downloaded the app. That's great. So let's get up to 75%. Okay, we're almost there. And then let's go ahead, and we have 93 people percent has downloaded the app, and we have a few of you that haven't. So what we'll do is we'll download the app at the end and show you how to be able to do it. It's quite a simple process. Okay, Marcia, let's go ahead and put up our next poll. And I want to know if you guys have used EDGE Live. And if you haven't used EDGE Live, you should really learn how, because this is how you can communicate with your borrower rather easily. It will let you drive the report, show them the different options, and it's a great tool. So right now I have 63% voted, and 92 of you percent have not used EDGE Live. So I'll show you that and encourage you. You want to use EDGE Live. If you're working with EDGE, this is the ultimate piece for it. Okay, so Marcy, go ahead. And then the last one, our poll, is, have you ever posted a link to Facebook? Yes, we're going to be covering that today as well. So if you could go ahead and respond to that, we'll show you how you can go ahead and post a link to a fan page and show you how you could do a couple different options there. So that's good. 92% have not, so we'll go ahead and cover that as well in our training today. So perfect. We'll go ahead and close out that poll. So today, besides Facebook and EDGE Live, first thing I want to talk about are fees. And in our support desk, support@mortgagecoach.com, this week a lot of questions were around contributions. How can I add a contribution and my cash to close is not right? You know, what are we doing incorrectly? So let me show you, there's a couple different ways that you can work with contributions, and we'll go in and show you how. So I have a report already created, actually a down payment assistant product. This is one we're going to go ahead and post to Facebook later, so I'll work with the contributions on this one. So if I double click my existing product, what you could do when you're in a screen, so the last screen I was in was my presentation in my preview screen. You can see any of these screens, if there's jump outs, you just hover your mouse over each additional screen and you can see any type of jump outs. So for me, the easiest way to go to a product is hovering my mouse over product and then selecting FJ. And I also want to mention, if you have any questions at all, open up your question area in GoToMeeting and post any of those questions there, and I'll address it as we go along. That was quick, David. I got my first question. Is there a way to show interest savings accumulated over 30 years or 15-year terms? Yes, I'll show you. That's primarily when you look in the short-term area. The short-term area is the unrecoverable cost. It does show interest and fees, but we'll go ahead and discuss that when we get to the report and Edge Live. We'll talk about the report a little bit more. So, David, we'll get to that in a bit. So now with my product, I want to go to my fee screen. So I'm going to advance the screen so I can get to my closing costs. So you can see I already have my closing costs entered, and you can see the fields that have been grayed out. The reason for that is because I use my closing cost details. So let's go into the closing cost details, be able to see the fees. This is a sample set of fees that I have here. Just taking a look at all the different ones, want to see what I have. Okay. So what I'm going to do is show you 3 ways of keying in a contribution. So the first way of doing it, if I add a fee, in our drop-down, we have a label called contribution. So if I type the letter C, find my word contribution, and select that. With the contribution label, we have the logic behind it. So it understands to credit the dollar amount against your fees. So if I look right here, borrower paid. It's $43.25. So say I have a contribution of $1,000. You'll notice that $43.25 will be reduced by that amount, and the lender now is picking up the $1,000. You can change that to the seller just by going to the column, and in your drop-down, instead of lender, you can choose seller. And that's an easy way of being able to show a contribution being paid by the seller or the lender, and it will credit against your fees. So this is the easiest way to be able to show a contribution and have your cash to close correct. The other way, let me go ahead and delete this line out, and the way I delete a fee line item is just by pressing that trash can. And now what I want to do is create a custom fee, because a custom fee doesn't have logic behind it, and sometimes you want to be able to have a description the way it is in your LOS. So to show you, I'm going to click on Add Custom Fee, and I'm just going to type in seller contribution because I wanted to identify with my label that it was seller. And that's fine, but we're going to have to do things a little bit differently, a little bit backwards, only because there's no logic behind this label. So I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And so now we have our seller contribution, and anytime you create a new fee description, it's always in your drop-down, so you'll never have to create that description a second time. So now if we look at our borrower paid fees at $43.25, and we'll do the same as we did with the contribution, I'm placing in $1,000, and when I press return, instead of decreasing that amount, it increased it. Again, because there's no logic behind this label, it's just thinking it's a fee. So if you want to show your fee description, enter this as a negative. You'll see that it just reduced the borrower amount by that amount, and you have to keep it paid by the borrower to have that contribution offset the borrower fees. So again, if you create your own label, make sure it's a negative, and it will offset the borrower costs. So that's how a contribution will work within ED. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put that in the question area, and I can go ahead and address it. So that's a lot of the questions that have been coming over through the support regarding that contribution. Another thing, and let me go out into a different report because I want to post this one on Facebook and I don't want to mess it up. Let's go into my FHA conventional product. I'm going to go back to the fee area. I'm hovering my mouse over product. I'm going into my FHA product, advance the screen, and go into my closing cost details. So for those of you who are on an enterprise account, you might have some fee templates already built, but by chance they might be different than what you have. So if I go ahead and click on FHA template or FHA fees, you can see how all my fees went ahead and carried down. So if your corporate office had developed fee templates for you, a lot of times they might make it at the corporate level, but sometimes the branches might have some fees that are slightly different. If this is the case for you, it's really simple to make a template for you and customize it. And the way you do it is just bring down your template that's been provided and then make your modifications. So say your processing fee in your office might only be $400, and if you have any other kind of settlement, title, any of that kind of information, you want to go ahead and make the adjustments. So say the underwriting fee might be $400. I'm trying to make a couple different items. And then once you're finished making any adjustments, you can also add a fee. If for some reason your office has a fee that's different, you can add a fee as well. And then what you would need to do is once you're all done modifying that fee template, you want to save it so you can use it for the next time you have that product. So you're not recreating the wheel each time. To create your template, just go ahead and press Save As Template. And what you might want to do is put like a number 1 in front of it. And the reason for a number 1 is higher than an alpha character, and you want your templates above the enterprise templates, above your corporate templates. So if I put in number 1, and I'm going to type in FHA fees, if you have a, if you originate in multiple states and you want fee templates based that way, indicate what state it is, and then you can do a sort by state and only have those fee templates listed by that state. So now let's go ahead and press OK. And now you'll notice that my fees template is right here, and as soon as I log out, it will go ahead and alpha order it, put it on top. But you can see how you have your fee template that you can use on any future loans. So it's easy if you're working with those corporate templates to be able to make any kind of modifications and develop your own template. So say you developed your own templates, how do you edit them? So let me cancel out of here. And you have a settings. And in the settings, that's where you can modify your fee template. So I'm going to go ahead and click on settings, and you'll see a tab here called Fee Templates. Right here is my fee template that I had just created. You'll see the number 1, FHA fees. So with that, this is when I can modify it. So say for some reason my appraisal fee increased to $475. This is where you make your updates so then your templates are correct for all future loans. Also, we have a copy. So say you created a template, you originate in multiple states. The only couple fees are different, but you want to be able to copy it really quick and create those templates. You just use that Save As button on the bottom left, and that will allow you to copy. So say I, FHA, and say they were for the state of Oregon. And then I went ahead and put in my test here for Oregon, and then press OK. So now you'll see over here that it has a state assigned to that template. And now when you use your drop-down and choose Oregon, that fee template will display and not the other one. So I want to be able to point that out. So it's a really quick way once you develop the fee template just to do a copy and be able to develop and have multiple fee templates really quick and easily. Okay, so there we go on fee templates. I don't see any questions on the fees, so I'm going to go ahead and move on, and let's work with Facebook. So let's go to the down payment assistant product. So I'm hovering my mouse over presentation, and I'm going to my preview. That's the very last screen in the Edge report. And let's take a look at this report before we go ahead and post it. So I was working with a down payment assistant program. This happens to be a Kentucky Housing Corporation. What I did was just create an FHA product, standard. Then I developed the KHC. And what this down payment product happens to do is provide a second lien, but the second lien actually is a 10-year fully amortized loan. So we have that one here. And then I'm showing the same product with a tax credit. So those are the differences. And you'll see the FHA product actually is the better product. You save $65 over a month. But look at the difference here. It's the cash to close. And that's really why a lot of people use that down payment assistance, is to be able to get into the house because they don't have a lot of money for the cash to close. So with that, this happened to be a maximum of $6,000, and it reduced it by that amount. You'll see over in my More Info button over on the upper right, to show you that down payment assistance, and you can see I have a second lien of $6,000. It happens to be at 5.5%, and this has a payment, a P&I payment of $65 added to that standard payment of the FHA product of $788. So I want to be able to point that out to you just to be able to see how I created this particular product. I know there's quite a few down payment assistants that are silent seconds. We do have a way to do that. It's through the fee aspect. So if you're doing those type of bond products that are silent seconds, if you want me to display that, go ahead and put it in the question area, and we can review that a little bit more. So I also want to be able to point out the tax benefit here. So now that I have my areas highlighted, and the way I highlighted, for those who don't are unaware, you just take your mouse over the field. You'll see how the cell has been highlighted, and then I left click, and it fills in that cell with yellow. If I click again, it removes that highlighting. I also want to point out, when you're on the preview, if you look at the bottom middle, there's a clear all button. That clear all button is to clear out all your highlights at once. And going through this aspect, this is what you're going to use when you start using Edge Live. So you'll be able to highlight as well as use that clear all button. So now let's work with Facebook. We have a couple ways of doing it. And the way I'm going to show you and talk to you about is about having your own fan page, your own page for sharing information such as this. So if I click on share, there's two ways of doing it. First off, I do want to go ahead and copy my link because that's a process I want to show you as well. But you can go ahead and click on Facebook. I already have our Mortgage Coach Facebook open. So I want to be able to show you how this works. So first, have your Facebook account open, press the share link. This is what you're going to see on the report. And what you want to do is, if you have a personal page tied to your fan page or a page you manage, you want to select that. You really don't want to put a report on a friend's timeline. That's sort of spam, so you probably don't want to do that. But if you belong to a group, you'll be able to post it with a group or a page you manage. So this is where we're going to go, as a page we manage. I also happen to have two different pages. We're going to put it on Mortgage Coach so we don't go to Jacob's page, and then be able to post it. Whoops, moving on there. I hit the wrong link at the wrong time. So let's do that one more time. You have the information here. So then once you share a link, it will go ahead and post that report to Facebook. But I want to show you a different way, because we've been getting calls and they don't want the Edge as the logo. So you can go ahead and post this to Facebook in a different route. So what I'm doing is going to our Facebook page, This is our Mortgage Coach page, and what I'm going to do is share the link. I had copied that link from the presentation, and this is how you could change that image. You could just click on here, and if you wanted a different kind of image, you could easily upload it and it will replace that Mortgage Coach Edge logo. And you can also modify any kind of text in this area. So if you want to put something differently, go ahead and you can edit these areas. So it makes it easier, and you can customize what they'll physically see on the post. So that's how you'd be able to do it. So I'm just going to keep everything the way it is just to show you how, if you did nothing, how it will post. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see you can schedule it, date it, or save a draft. So I'm going to go ahead and post this Edge report now. So it's in the process, and now you can see that it's been posted to the timeline. It does have the link, but all you, the fans, all they would have to do is click on that report and be able to see the report you posted. So that's how quick and easy it is to post a link on Facebook. But I do want to point out, when you're doing any type of social media, you need to make sure that it is generic. You do not want to post any person's personal information, even a name up at the top. Another item I do want to point out is, if you're posting it to Facebook, you should have this on every report, but make sure if you're doing it to social media, in the payment notes, put estimated taxes and insurance, and determine, if you are including it or not. This is a compliance note, and you should have this on all your reports, and especially if you're putting on social media. So another option is also, if you have a marketing department, possibly your items have to go through them before it's posted. So just share that link. Again, lower right hand gives you that link rather quickly. So I would just copy, paste that in my email, and send it to my compliance or marketing department to get that approval. So a couple ways of doing that, but I wanted to show you at least how to post it on there. So now you'll be able to take your message. You can record that video, and that video will also be linked to that Edge report. So when they click on it, they'll have a message from you as well as the information on the report. This is great if you're posting MI options. You'll be able to show the differences in MI options. That's a great option to be able to post and be able to provide. But any type of products that you're standard of using, those are the great ones to actually post and provide that video message for all your fans and the people you connect with. So if there's any questions about Facebook, go ahead and place it into the question area, and we'll go ahead and address those as we go through it. Okay, so let's clean up our screen. I believe everyone has Facebook aspect down. Just one moment, let's clean up a couple of these reports. Okay. So now what we're going to work on is the down payment assistance. So just to be able to show you how to key this in and how to key in the silent second as well. So that's what we're going to go ahead and work from. And what I'm going to do is, instead of starting out from scratch, I'm going to go ahead and copy a report, be able to show you that process. To copy a report, you have this View All button in both the Home, the Client section, as well as your Partner section. So if you click on View All, you can narrow down your search by putting in any type of this information, the criteria, and then press Search, and it narrows down your list. So what I'm going to do is, I've listed all of it, but there's also a filter up top. So I can go ahead and use down payment. And I have my working file. Actually, I want to use this one. We'll use the KFC one. So what I've done with this particular product, I labeled it. So if you're doing in an area that is doing down payment assistance, you can create it as a marketing. You'll see at the very top. Individual, we'll just put in a first name, last name, and then the co-borrowers. So the only difference when you select marketing is just that label. So I went ahead, down payment assistant, program. And I'm working with the FHA products. I'm keeping on own and rent. I see this quite a bit. The rent button is going to produce a rent versus own report versus a total cost analysis. That's the difference between those two buttons. So if you want a TCA, keep it on own. If you want the rent versus own showing those benefits of homeownership, then click on the rent button. So you can see as I move on, I have it marked as a purchase. I have my dollar amount in here, my property value of $125,000. I'm bypassing the affordability screen at both of them because this is a marketing piece. I don't have that data, and I really don't need that data. So I went directly to my products. So again, if you're working on those in Edge, you can see I just had my client, my basic information, marked it as a purchase, put in my sales price, and move to products. It's not very many fields that you have to key in. So I labeled this. This is my standard FHA product. So I went ahead and labeled it as a FHA 3.5% down. When you're keying in a product, you want to make sure your upfront premium is marked as FHA. And for those of you, you might already have product templates created. Go ahead and select, if you're following along with me, select your FHA template. So we have quite a few different types of templates. Most likely your FHA template would look like something like this. So this is less than 625, 500, and my LTV is greater than 95. The reason why we have it this way is to be able to default that MI. So to give you the correct MI factors. So once you select your FHA product, you'll have your defaults. I have my 3.5 defaulted and my term. Only thing I would have to do is key in that interest rate. So once you have that created, you advance the screen, go into your fees, bring down your closing cost details. I have 15 days prepaid interest. Hover your mouse, you can see that dollar amount. And my upfront premium. If you have a default, a template already, this would have been defaulted for you. If you're brand new and you don't have a default, it's not a problem. I'll show you how to create those product defaults once we get to the end of the screen. So you would want to put 1.75 in for your upfront MI factor and add it to the loan amount. And then if I advance my screen, I get to my monthly cost. So I have my FHA mortgage insurance in here, 0.85, calc MI on balance, which will provide the FHA declining MI calculation routine. And then you have your 360 cutoff month. So this is telling me take MI for the life of the loan. So now you'll notice at the very bottom of the screen, Save as Template. This is where you can start creating those niche products that you might only do once a month, but might as well create the template so the next month you won't have to redo all this work. And again, if you're on an enterprise account, this is another way to start developing and customizing the fields for your area, for your branch. So we discussed how to customize your fees. Let's now talk about how to customize your product templates. So you'll see at the very bottom is Save as Template. You could go ahead, like I said with the FHAs, if you want to put this so it's on the top of your list, put a numeric in front of it, and then it will bring over your label. This is fine for me to save it as, so I'm going to press OK. So that's my FHA product. And the reason when I was talking to mention about enterprise accounts and being specific for branches, your hazard insurance and your property taxes might be a different figure. If you modify these two and you save a new template, this is part of your default. And when you use your templates that you created, you'll have that information that will automatically default. So if you do that, this screen would automatically be completed with your percentages, your factors for hazard, property, and MI, and you could default your reserves and 12 months premium. So that's, I'm mentioning it, so just letting you know there's quicker ways of getting through Edge. So definitely make sure you save it as a template, and you won't have to key that in again. So now let's talk about this particular product. It happens to be a Kentucky Housing Corporation product. And what they do is have a second lien up to $6,000, And with that, it can be applied toward down payment or fees. So this is showing you how to be able to add that second lien to your product. I'm keying in my loan just like I did normally. A quick way, since the KHC is exactly the same as my FHA product, except for that second lien, use the Copy From button. This Copy From button will allow you to copy from a product that's already been entered into your Edge report. So if you had select the first FHA product, all that information will copy over and be exactly the same as that your FHA, and then you just make your updates. And in this case, the only update would be that second lien. So you can see all the information carried over, as well as my fees and upfront premium. And now how do you add the second is at the very bottom, the last question is, does this product include a second lien? So I did mark it yes. And when you advance the screen, that's where you key in your information for your second product. So you can see I have a loan amount of $6,000. The interest rate happens to be 5.5 on this product, and it's a 10-year term. And it is straight amortized payment, so it's not interest only or anything. If you have an interest only silent second, you can enter the number of months of IO. Say if it was the same, I would just put in 120 here. If you have a down payment assistance that there is no payment, it's a silent second where everything is due when they sell the home or they refinance, then you would actually do that slightly different. Since there's no payment to be added, we actually have to do that as a fee. So if you do silent seconds, put it in the question area, and I could show you how to do that on another product if you would like. So moving on, I want to be able to, I put in the information on my second, so now what will happen, I have it marked no for refi. This $6,000 will be attributed to your cash to close. So that's what this $6,000 will be doing. So when I advance my screens, if you had any fees, you would go ahead and indicate so there, and then you're done and we're on to our next product. So the difference between the KHC and the KHC, okay, is a tax credit. Okay, Nicholas does the California silent seconds. Okay, TDAP. Okay, we'll get some of those going. I'll do it on my the fourth product here. So what's the difference, the tax credit between these two products? The only thing, all you have to do is click on Copy From, copy that KHC or whatever product it may be. It's exactly the same, but I just want to show tax benefits. So you would copy the KHC, in this particular case, the KHC product over, and what you want to do is apply MCC credit. See that box? Now, how did I get this box? This will come out when, let's go to our assumption screen. I'm going to advance it once. We need to put a tax bracket in here as well as the tax credit. So at the bottom right, you'll see tax credit for the MCC. This can be used for other types of products. It initially was for the MCC tax credit. I'm using this for the bond product. In this particular case, tax credit is 25% up to a maximum of $2,000 a year. So once you fill in this information and press OK, once you have done that, then the MCC apply credit will go ahead and appear. So that's how you get that box. You have to make sure you fill in the information in the assumptions for that MCC tax credit. Just one moment. So with that information, that's the only thing different. All my fees are the same and all my monthly costs. So just with that tax credit, that one box, and that changes the whole product on our report. So now let's just take a look at the presentation. We're going to discuss this, a little bit of Edge Live. And Nicholas, while we're doing Edge Live, I'll show you how we can add that product. It sort of helps with the Edge Live as well as showing you how to do that silent second. Okay, so now what you want to do is if you print or save as a PDF, try to get out of that habit and always email the link. Sorry, Nicole, the screen's a little far away from me. Okay, so you always want to email a link, and I stress that because if you make any changes to your EDGE presentation, if you're sending out a fee cost sheet, one of the loan officers I talked to was any type of change, they have to go in and redo all the fee cost sheets, redo their emails, and send it back out. If you send the email link, an EDGE presentation, if you need to make a change, you do not have to send anything. They already have the link, and the link's automatically updated. So it saves you so much time by using an EDGE report. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at our preview. And so we have our three products side by side. So first off, you're thinking, okay, the monthly payment savings, those two products with the second lien, I'm not saving more each month because I have that additional payment. Our payment for P&I for our first lien is all the same, but now we have the additional second lien payment for 10 years. But the whole purpose of these type of programs is the down payment. And you can see clearly the difference between their cash to close. It's quite a bit less that they would have to bring in to be able to get into that home. But also take a look at the tax benefit. The tax benefit also is higher if they have those type of credit products. So that's what you're really driving at in showing what the benefit is on these particular products. Yeah, it might be a slightly more a month, in this case $65, but in the long run they're able to get into the house at a lower cost as well as a higher tax benefit each year. So now let's go and cover the savings over 60 months. So David, this is an area that I was talking about interest. So you have the savings over 360. It does include the interest amount. So there is the interest over a period of time, and this is, in this case, over the life of the loan. So you can see how much interest, actually the standard FHA product is the way to go because that also has no second lien. So that's why it's saving quite a bit more. But look at the tax benefit, how huge it is with that credit. Okay, sorry, everyone. I'm reading David's question. Is there a way to show principal and interest is being saved over 30 years? No, we only do interest. I have a thought on that one, yeah. There's not a physical way for just showing the savings of principal and interest because usually the principal is the same on the products. It's the different products, it's the interest is usually, or the fees are usually the difference piece. I know the interest rate and the principal and ARM products and stuff. But let me think about that a little more while we're walking through it and see what I could do for you, David. So back with this, so you have the savings over a 30-year period. So just be able to show you that. You have your closing costs that are added. So the short-term area, for those of you who are not quite as familiar, it is your unrecoverable costs, which are your interest and MI as well as your closing costs. But you have a benefit. So even though you have these two figures, you're going to go ahead and subtract out that benefit to get what the total cost is of the loan. So that's how to explain that area a bit, and then it shows you how much you're saving over the 30-year period. If I go to, or I'll save that for Edge Live. So now with, let's go to Edge Live. So with that, how do you explain that to your borrower? And a lot of you haven't used Edge Live, so this is how you do it. What I'm going to do, let me go ahead and clear out a couple of these. I'm opening a new tab. And remember earlier I copied the link of my report. If you had pasted it in an email, sent it to your borrowers, they'd be clicking the link just as I pasted in here, and they would open the report up. This is what the borrower sees. This is the consumer end. They see your disclosure statement, and they press I understand. If you had a video, the video would start. So now let me go ahead and put this side by side. And for everyone on the call today, I really want you to work with Edge Live this week. And if there's anything you do and you're on these calls, you're trying to learn Edge, really learn Edge Live. Once you have this nailed down, you'll understand why I'm saying this, because this will help you with the conversation to the borrower. So, okay. So with Edge Live, so you have the report side by side. The left-hand side is my copy. Remember the clear all button? I'm clearing out the highlights. And you see how it cleared out the highlights all at once on the left-hand side? But it drove the report for the borrower and cleared out the highlights on their report as well on the right-hand side. Another option I want to do is copy this link. I'm pasting it into our chat area. If you want to follow along and experience Edge Live, click on that link that I just put in the chat box and click on it, and you can experience Edge Live as I'm driving the presentation. On the left-hand side, you'll notice at the very bottom left, I have two viewers. I have two people with that report open. As you're talking with the borrower, that's the conversation, and you ask if they have the report up, you'll be able to know if it has how many viewers. If it says 0, they don't have the report up. There's someone just opened a report. You can see 3. So you can see easily if your borrower is on the line with you. It can also point out that maybe more than one person has the report up at the same time. So just be able to identify that area. Now you want to talk to the borrower. You want to drive the presentation. So you want to talk to them about the cash to close and how much less it is with that particular product. You can see how you're working it on the left-hand side, and it's automatically driving the right-hand side's presentation. If I click on the More Info button, you could see how we'll drive it on the borrower's end, and now you could discuss with them the payment. You could discuss how the P&I payment includes a second lien on that bond product, as well as the monthly costs. So you can see how you're discussing it, and you can see how it's driving the report on the right-hand side. And if this isn't clear, please let me know in the question area, because I know a lot of times this is where I get the questions. People aren't quite sure how I started this product, so if that's where you're at, please let me know. So now with Edge Live, how I mentioned before, it's easy to make modifications. So this short-term area at 360, I want to change it to 60 months. I want to get it to something more showing the real time period. So you'll notice the left-hand side, my working area, I'm going to go ahead and change the 360. So I go into my Edge account, and I'm going into my analysis screen. This is where that 360 is kept. So I could go ahead and change it to 60 months. And anytime you make a change, to make it appear on the report, you have to move left or right just to get out of this screen, and that initiates the save. So in just a moment, you'll see how the report's going to update that lower left-hand corner from 360 to 60 months. So you can see how it just made that change. So you'll be able to drive the report and talk to the borrower about it. So now let's say there's an additional product you want to show them. This one happens to be a silent second. So now let's go back into Edge. I'm going to open the screen up so you don't have to squint and try to see what I'm doing. So let's bring it up, but still keep our report there. So what you would want to do is go to the very end of your third product. So now I want to add a second product. So I go to add another product, or fourth product. And I'm just labeling this silent second. It is based upon my FHA product, so I'm going to show you how to use that copy from button. I could copy from any particular product, but I'm going to go ahead and choose that FHA because I don't want my second lien carrying over. So I press OK, And see how easy everything carried over for me. I advanced my screen, and for the silent second, because that dollar amount, because there is no payment, we can't really create it as a second lien, but you need to be able to show that dollar amount to be able to offset the amount. So go ahead and click on closing cost details. And Nicole, is there a name that you call that particular fee? I'll just label it down payment assistant, and that way you can do it. So you have all your fees right here. What you want to do is create an add custom fee. So what I'm going to do is just call this one down payment assistant. Okay. And if I'm pressing OK. So now in your drop-down, you always have that label. It's already there. But remember with the contribution, this is custom. I need to put this as a negative. So I'm going to put this as a negative 6,000. And it will show a negative here, but this negative will also offset the down payment. So you'll see in the report. So you have that negative. This is that 6,000 that I applied to the second lien. And this will now offset the closing costs for that particular product with the down payment assistant amount. So once I apply it to the loan, now I've made the adjustments and I have a contribution. I also want to point out, let's move this screen a little bit. Do you notice my silent second has appeared on my report? That's Edge Live. Even though I'm in Edge making the adjustment, you'll see the adjustments being made on your report. So that's what's Edge Live, and that's what you could do with your borrowers. So now that I advance my screen, my fees are going to be updated here. And let's go to our report. Let's open it up a little bit. So now that you have your silent second, let's go ahead and you can see the payment savings. It's quite a bit, and let's go ahead and go into our More Info button. And you can see the silent second over here. There's no second lien payment. Closing costs. Go to the fee details of the silent second, and you can show that down payment assistance. Actually, everything's in alpha order. So you can see under the D's, the down payment assistant, how it's offsetting the borrower's costs. And you can see right there at the cash to close how much is due, how it offset those $87.01 in fees, and you can see how that $6,000 just offset that cost. So that's how you would work with the silent second information in there. And let me just check one more question, just one moment. Okay, I'm going back to your question, Dave. Yeah, because we do show the interest in the MI, but not the full payment. So if you go into Edge, let me go into the analysis screen. You can show the total principal paid amount. Let's advance the screen this way. In that lower section here, the lower right, and it's going to update shortly. And then, okay. Yeah, you have total principal. Yeah, let me switch back. Just one moment. I just want to check out a couple things. I think in the short-term area, let me close this out. Okay, here's our report. So in that More Info, you do have the full pity payment of that time period. It's not in a comparison, but you do have the dollar amounts where you can see how much total amount of the pity payment has been made. It's not in the comparison, Dave, but you can easily see the numbers and which one's higher and lower. That is the total pity amount. And also, I love this short-term area and in the long-term area, the more info. You could get so much details about it because you have your loan balance at the end of that time period. You have much equity, so this also helps or comes into effect if you apply different additional principal. Total principal amount you paid at that time, the total PITI payments, how much they paid over that 15-year period of the principal and interest and MI payments, as well as tax benefit. So if that's not quite what you need, David, let me know. I'll look at it into more. I just need to think about it a little bit. And I know there's a way we could do it. So, and if there's any other questions, hopefully, Nicole, that helped you out with the silent second, and you're able to do those now. And again, when you're in Edge and you created that silent second product, save it as a template. Go back to your fees. You already have that dollar amount in there and your down payment assistant label. Save this as a template so you would be able to pull it up and not have to add that line item each time. So, and if it's a solid number, you can also default that if you choose to. Okay, so now what I want to do is go to our settings a little bit. If you're been following along with the guidelines for August 1st, there is some kind of language that needs to be placed on the reports about an estimate. Just wanted to let you know, if you have not touched base, you do have a report templates area here. If you're on an enterprise account, in this particular case I am, and this is grayed out, that means your corporation is handling the disclaimer and disclosure text on your reports. If being on an individual account, this is where you make the adjustments. If I go to an Edge report, the lower left-hand corner is that disclosure language. This information is driven from the settings. So if you're on an individual account and want to change the language for this area here, you just need to go to settings into report templates and make that modification here. The other item I want to mention is the payment note section, which is another important piece that I wanted just to describe for compliance purposes. You always want to be able to have this language in your report. So remember to do that. And where this is in Edge, if you go into Edge, into a report, hover your mouse over presentation, choose select report, and this is where you can put in that information. Your company might have placed it in there, or just place it in the payment notes area. I also want to point out this area because this is another additional area. You can add a little bit of notation if you want. So add additional notes here. Advance my screen, and you can see my payment notes in this area will update with that additional text. You know, there's not a lot of space there, but I did want to be able to point that out. Some people do ask that through our support. Point that area out. And then at this point in time, I am done with my questions or my presentation. So if there's any kind of questions, I'm just going to be on the line for a few more minutes. Please put those through. If you need me to open a mic up, I could do that as well. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this call up. So if there's any information, I'm going to be hanging out for a little bit, be able to assist you and work with it. But definitely learn how to use Edge Live. Get on the, put the report side by side. If you have two monitors, start learning the flow, highlighting, pulling the more info out, and be able to hold that conversation with the borrower. So with that, everyone, thank you so much, and I'm going to be sticking around for any kind of questions that you have. And if not, thank you very much for attending. You'll be able to see today's call. Click on the Help button. We record and post all these to our Coaching Call Archive. So if I click on Access Coaching Call Archive, you'll see not only our Tuesday coaching calls listed, but you'll also see our Thursday training calls and our Friday Intro to Beginners class. So all those classes we hold are posted, archived, and on our coaching call site. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the week. Any questions on Edge, please email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. and we'll assist you. And for right now, just stay on the line for any kind of questions. Enjoy your day, everyone. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the call now. Thank you again, and enjoy your week. We'll see you next Thursday.